Outlaw hanged a Native American woman, not knowing that a Comanche warrior loved her. In the late 1870s, when the Texas frontier was still a place where wide grasslands touched endless sky, there lived a young woman named Elena. She belonged to two different worlds, and this shaped her in quiet but powerful ways. Her mother had been Mexican, gentle in nature and gifted with the knowledge of plants. Her father had been Comanche, brave and calm, a man who carried the stories of his people. From her mother, Elena learned patience and kindness. From her father, she learned strength and an understanding of the land. Together, these qualities made her someone people trusted, even if they did not always understand her background. Elena lived near a small trading post, a place where travelers stopped to rest. Settlers came to buy supplies, and members of different tribes sometimes visited in peace. The buildings there were simple, wooden walls worn by sun and wind, doors that squeaked, and windows that let in warm afternoon light. The people who lived nearby led quiet lives. They raised animals, tended small farms, and tried their best to get along with whoever crossed their path. Life was not easy, but it moved steadily, the days shaped by chores, weather, and the slow rhythm of nature. Elena's home stood a short walk from the trading post, a small cabin her parents had built long before she was born. After they passed away, the place became hers alone. The cabin was humble, just one large room with a fireplace, shelves for herbs, and a bed covered with blankets she had woven herself. Outside grew a small garden filled with plants she used for healing: sage, lavender, yarrow, and other herbs her mother had once pointed out with gentle hands. Every leaf held a memory, and Elena cared for them as if she were caring for her own family. People often stopped by her cabin when they needed help. A rancher might come with a swollen ankle from a fall. A traveler might arrive with a cough that had lingered too long. A worried mother might bring a child who could not sleep through the night. Elena greeted everyone with the same quiet warmth. She listened carefully, offered soft words of comfort, and prepared simple remedies using the plants she knew so well. She believed deeply that kindness could travel farther than anger, and that understanding was a bridge between all people. Despite her gentle spirit, Elena sometimes felt caught between different identities. Some settlers saw her as too close to the tribes. Some tribal visitors saw her as too close to the settlers. But most people respected her because she had helped someone they loved. Beyond all this, however, there was one person who saw her clearly, not as someone divided, but as someone complete. His name was Tahan. Tahan was a Comanche warrior, respected among his people for his calm mind, sharp awareness, and steady sense of honor. He did not speak more than he needed to, but when he did, others listened. His presence was quiet but strong, like the sound of wind moving through tall grass. He knew how to track animals without leaving a mark, how to read the sky for signs of weather, and how to guide his people across the land with safety and wisdom. Tan had known Elena since they were young. At first, he noticed her only in passing, a girl walking beside her parents, her dark braids swinging as she gathered herbs. But as the years went by, he found himself paying more attention. He admired how she moved through the world with gentle purpose. He admired how she greeted everyone with respect, no matter who they were. Most of all, he admired her courage. Living between two different cultures was not easy. Yet, Elena carried herself with quiet confidence. She never boasted, never complained, and never treated anyone with disrespect. As they grew older, Tahan began finding reasons to visit the trading post more often. He told himself he was there for supplies or news, but deep inside he knew he hoped he might catch a glimpse of Elena. Sometimes he would see her speaking kindly to a traveler, Sometimes he would see her helping a child collect stones near the river. Other times he would see her sitting alone beneath a cottonwood tree, lost in thought, her hands weaving small pieces of grass into rings or bracelets. He never rushed toward her. Instead, he watched from a respectful distance. Yet even from afar, he felt something shift inside him whenever he saw her smile. Her smile was gentle, warm, and steady, like sunlight that made the land feel safe. Although Tan admired her deeply, he kept his feelings to himself. He believed it was important to let time shape his heart's path. He was also unsure whether Elena saw him in the same way. She was kind to everyone, after all, and he did not want to mistake kindness for affection. Still, he found himself returning again and again, drawn to the calmness she carried. One day, when a cold wind was blowing across the plains, Elena was gathering herbs near her cabin. She bent over a patch of sage, humming softly to herself. She did not know that Tahan had approached, moving quietly so he would not startle her. When she finally noticed him, she looked up with a warm smile. "You walk more softly than the wind," she said playfully. Tahan felt a rare warmth in his cheeks. "I did not mean to surprise you." "You didn't," she replied. "You are welcome here." Her words meant more to him than she realized. They talked for a few minutes about the changing season, the needs of travelers, and the state of her herb garden. Tan listened closely to her voice. It was gentle, yet steady, like a stream flowing over smooth stones. At one point, noticing the cold breeze, he quietly placed a folded cloth on a low branch where she would see it. It was a cloth he had woven during the winter, dyed with natural pigments. He did not offer it directly, but he hoped she would accept it. Elena noticed it immediately. "Is this for me?" she asked softly. "If you would like it," he answered. She lifted it carefully, feeling the texture. "It's beautiful," she said. "Thank you, Tahan. I'll treasure it." Her gratitude touched him, but even so, he did not stay long. He said goodbye with a respectful nod and walked away. Elena watched him go, her fingers gently tracing the patterns on the cloth. She had always sensed something unspoken in the way he looked at her, something sincere and steady. It warmed her more than she expected. As seasons passed, their quiet connection grew stronger. Elena found herself thinking of him when she watched the sunrise, or when she brewed tea on cold evenings. She admired the way Tahan lived with honor, how he treated others with fairness, and how he carried both strength and kindness within him. But like Tahan, she kept her thoughts close to her heart. She told herself that if their paths were meant to come together, they would. Meanwhile, life at the trading post continued in its familiar rhythm. Families came and went, small celebrations were held, and travelers brought stories from distant places. Elena remained a gentle presence in the community. She baked bread to share with lonely travelers. She helped mend torn clothing for children. She offered herbs to anyone who needed healing. Her days were simple but meaningful. Every once in a while, she received small gifts from people she had helped: a jar of honey, a bundle of warm wool, a piece of carved wood. But the gift that meant most to her remained the woven cloth from Tahan. She kept it folded near her bed, touching it when she needed comfort. Somehow, the cloth made her feel understood. Rumors sometimes drifted through the trading post about distant troubles, but Elena kept faith that good hearts still existed on both sides of the frontier. She believed that understanding could grow even in places where fear had once lived. And when she looked at the horizon stretching far and wide, she felt hopeful about the future. Elena did not know that Tahan often watched the same horizon, thinking of her. He carried a small braided necklace that he had made for her, though he never found the courage to offer it. He kept it tied to the strap of his saddle where it reminded him of her warmth and resilience. Every time he touched it, he wondered whether she might one day accept such a gift. In quiet moments, Elena imagined what life might be like if she could walk beside someone who understood both her heart and her dreams. Sometimes, when she thought of Tahan, her heartbeat softened in a way she could not explain. But she reminded herself that life had its own timing. She believed in waiting, even when the waiting felt long. On warm evenings, Elena often sat outside her cabin, watching the sun fade into soft colors. Birds settled into trees, and the air cooled just enough to bring a gentle peace. She would close her eyes and listen to the distant sounds of horses, the soft laughter of children, and the quiet rustle of leaves. Life felt balanced in those moments, calm, steady, and full of promise. She did not know that a great change was approaching. She did not know that her gentle life would soon be shaken in ways she could not imagine. And she did not know that her quiet connection with Tahan would grow into something far deeper than either of them had expected. For now, though, her world was calm. She walked along the riverbanks collecting herbs. She greeted travelers with kindness. She shared warm meals with neighbors, and every once in a while she looked toward the horizon, wondering if Tahan might appear, riding quietly across the plains with the same steady calm that always made her feel safe. Though they had not spoken of love, the truth lived quietly in the space between them, soft, unspoken, and full of possibility. Life around the trading post was usually calm, but the land often brought surprises. Travelers moved across the plains carrying stories, hopes, and sometimes worries they had collected from faraway places. One day, a small group of unfamiliar men arrived in the area. They looked tired from long travel, and their clothes were dusty from many miles on the road. People whispered that they might have had some trouble during their journey, though no one knew exactly what had happened. The leader of the group was a man named Jeb Crowder. Jeb was known for drifting from town to town, never staying long enough for people to learn much about him. He carried himself with tense caution, as if he believed something unfortunate might happen at any moment. His eyes moved quickly from place to place, and his expression often showed worry more than confidence. The others in his group followed his lead because they trusted him, or perhaps because they did not know what else to do. One of the men who traveled with Jeb did not feel well by the time they reached the trading post. His face was pale, and he struggled to stay steady on his feet. The long journey, the changing weather, and days without proper rest had taken a toll on him. The group became concerned because they did not know anyone in this region, and they had no experience caring for someone who was weak and tired. A local rancher noticed their troubled faces and suggested they visit Elena.
She knows many remedies, he said. She has helped people here for years.
She will do her best to help your friend. Jeb hesitated. He was not a man who trusted easily, especially when he was in unfamiliar territory. But the sick man leaned heavily against a fence, struggling to stay upright, and Jeb knew they needed help soon. After speaking quietly with his group, he agreed to seek out Elena's cabin. Elena was standing outside tying bundles of herbs to dry in the sunlight when Jeb and the others approached. She immediately noticed their worried expressions. Before they said a word, she stepped forward with gentle concern. "You look tired from travel," she said softly. "How can I help you?" Jeb explained that one of his companions was feeling weak and unwell. Elena listened carefully, observing the men with her calm eyes. She led them to a shaded area near her cabin and offered fresh water and a place to sit. She examined the sick man with patience, asking questions in a warm and steady voice. Her kindness slowly eased some of the tension the travelers carried. Elena prepared a simple mixture of herbs, known to bring comfort and ease tiredness, She offered the man warm tea and guided him to breathe gently while she spoke encouraging words. Her presence was peaceful, and even the wind seemed to quiet down as she worked. Jeb watched closely. Though he appreciated her help, he remained cautious. Traveling for so long had filled him with nervous thoughts. He guessed meanings where none existed, worried about dangers that were not real, and often believed trouble was hiding behind ordinary moments. That kind of worry made him misinterpret things easily. Elena continued tending to the sick man, carefully checking his pulse and helping him drink more water. She explained that rest, warmth, and gentle herbs would help him recover. She reminded the group that illness often came from exhaustion, not danger. Her voice was soft and reassuring, and her hands moved with steady confidence as she offered care. But despite her clear guidance, Jeb could not shake a feeling of unease. He watched everything too closely, reading fear into every detail. When the sick man closed his eyes to rest, Jeb misread the moment, believing something was wrong, even though it was simply a sign of the man relaxing after days of strain. Elena noticed Jeb's tension and tried to calm him. "He just needs rest," she said kindly. "His body is tired from travel, but he is safe. Give him time." However, Jeb's mind was filled with anxious thoughts. He had traveled through places where trust was rare, and he had grown used to expecting problems. Now, standing in a peaceful place, he did not know how to quiet the worries that had followed him for years. Some people from the trading post passed by Elena's cabin from time to time. They smiled at her and greeted her with familiarity. She returned their smiles warmly, which made the travelers realize that she was well respected here. But even then, Jeb struggled to let go of his doubts. He had been on the road too long, and constant caution had become part of him. As the afternoon light grew softer, Elena offered the group warm bread and herbal tea. The simple meal brought comfort to everyone. The sick man slowly regained color in his cheeks. He smiled weakly at Elena, grateful for her care. "You are very kind," he whispered. "I feel lighter." Elena placed a warm cloth on his forehead. "You are strong," she told him. "Your body is simply asking for rest." But Jeb misunderstood again. He watched her place the cloth gently and somehow imagined it meant something more serious. He worried that she knew something she was not telling them. He convinced himself that she was hiding information about his companion's condition. His thoughts spiraled into confusion, creating concerns that had no reason to exist. When Elena stepped away to fetch more herbs, Jeb quietly gathered his men and whispered anxiously. "We don't know what's happening," he said. "We've been on the road too long." "We don't know these people. We have to be careful." The others looked uncertain. They had seen Elena's kindness and felt comforted by her calm presence. But they also trusted Jeb and were used to following his cautious instructions. They nodded slowly, though none of them truly felt danger around them. When Elena returned with her herbs, she noticed the group's uneasy expressions. Instead of reacting with confusion or frustration, she simply smiled gently. "You are welcome to stay here as long as you need," she said. "There is no hurry. Your friend will recover with rest." Her kindness made the travelers feel guilty about their doubts, except for Jeb, who continued to misunderstand. His heart was heavy with worry, and he could not shake the feeling that something unpredictable was happening, even though everything was calm. The day faded into evening, and gentle blue light filled the sky. Elena invited the group to rest near her cabin. She placed blankets on the ground and encouraged the sick man to lie down comfortably. She continued checking his breathing and offered warm tea from time to time. The man slowly grew stronger, thanks to her thoughtful care. As night approached, the trading post grew quiet. Only faint sounds of distant animals and the soft rustle of wind could be heard. Elena lit a small lantern, casting a warm glow over the peaceful scene. She spoke kindly to the travelers, telling them that they could sleep without worry. But Jeb could not sleep. He sat upright, watching the lantern light flicker across the ground. The calmness around him felt strange because he had lived so long expecting trouble. The quiet unsettled him more than noise ever had. His thoughts drifted toward worry again, and his mind became filled with unnecessary fear. Elena noticed Jeb's restless expression and approached him slowly. "Is something bothering you?" she asked gently. Jeb hesitated. He did not want to seem distrustful, but his nervous nature made it hard for him to relax. "We've had hard travels," he said. "Sometimes I don't know who to trust." Elena nodded with understanding. "Travel can make the heart feel heavy," she said softly. "But this place is calm. You are safe here. And your friend is already doing better." Her voice soothed him for a moment, but after she walked away, his thoughts spiraled again. He convinced himself she was hiding something, even though she had shown nothing but kindness. By morning, the sick man woke feeling much stronger. He thanked Elena with sincere gratitude, and even the other travelers smiled with relief. But Jeb remained troubled by thoughts that had no real cause. He misinterpreted her calm expressions, her quiet voice, and even her gentle hand movements as signs of something mysterious. He whispered to his group that they should leave quickly. "I don't understand this place," he said. "We should move on." The others were hesitant, but they followed him as they always had. Before leaving, Elena handed them a small pouch of herbs to help the recovering man continue gaining strength. She wished them well and encouraged them to travel safely. Little did she know that Jeb's misunderstandings had planted confusion in his heart, a confusion that would soon lead to deeper complications she never expected. For Elena, the day returned to its usual calm, but somewhere on the plains, the travelers carried with them a set of mistaken ideas that would shape the next part of her story in ways she could not yet imagine. After the group left Elena's cabin, the quiet around the trading post slowly returned. Birds called from cottonwood branches, the river gently moved across its stones, and the afternoon sun spread warm light over the land. Elena went back to her work, believing everything had ended peacefully. She had helped a traveler in need, and for her, that was enough. But while Elena's world remained calm, the group of travelers felt the opposite. Their journey across the plains continued, but the memory of the visit lingered differently for each person. Most of them remembered her kindness, her calm voice, and the comfort she offered. They felt grateful and spoke quietly about her helpful nature. Only Jeb saw the memory through a lens of confusion. The more he thought about the visit, the more he misunderstood it. Each detail changed shape in his mind. The gentle herbs she used became strange in his imagination. Her calm voice became mysterious instead of comforting. Even the peaceful stillness around her cabin became suspicious to him. Days of travel only increased Jeb's uneasiness. His mind replayed the scene again and again, twisting it in ways that made him feel more troubled. He believed something had happened that he did not fully understand. He convinced himself that he had missed important signs. His imagination, shaped by years of worry and mistrust, began forming a story that was very different from the truth. One evening, when the sky was painted in soft shades of orange and gold, the travelers rested near a small grove of trees. The air was calm, and the tired group settled in. The recovering man sat on a blanket, enjoying a warm breeze. His face looked much healthier, and he spoke happily about how Elena's herbs had helped him. "I feel almost like myself again," he said with a grateful smile. She truly knew what she was doing. If we had not found her, I would still be tired and weak. The others agreed they had seen her kindness firsthand. But Jeb sat apart from them, staring into the distance with a worried expression. His hands fidgeted restlessly, and his thoughts spiraled again. "You all don't understand," Jeb whispered at last. "Things were not as simple as they seemed." The group looked at him with confusion. "What do you mean?" one of them asked, gently. Jeb leaned forward, speaking in a low, uncertain voice. "She acted so calm. Too calm. And the way she looked at us, I can't explain it. Something was not right." The men exchanged uneasy glances. They respected Jeb, but they also remembered Elena's kindness. They knew she had done nothing but help them. Still, Jeb's worried words made them uncomfortable.
"You're overthinking it," one of them finally said. "She helped our friend."
"That's all?" Jeb shook his head. "We don't know that for sure. We left too soon. Maybe we misunderstood everything." He looked around at each face, hoping someone would agree with him. "I think we need to go back." The group fell silent. The idea surprised them. They had no reason to return, and their journey was supposed to continue in the opposite direction. But Jeb's anxious tone made them feel uncertain, even though they sensed his fears were not grounded in reality. When morning came, Jeb's mind remained unsettled. His imagination had grown stronger during the night. He convinced himself that returning to the trading post was necessary, not because of evidence, but because of the tangled stories forming inside his head. His companions felt uneasy about going back, yet they trusted Jeb and did not want to leave him alone with his thoughts. After much discussion, they agreed to return, hoping it would ease his worry. Back at the trading post, the familiar building stood quietly beneath the sun. People greeted each other with friendly nods as they went about their morning tasks. Elena was near her cabin, washing a basket of herbs in the river. She had no idea that the travelers were returning or that misunderstanding had begun shaping their path. When Jeb and the others arrived, she looked up with pleasant surprise. "You've come back," she said kindly. "Is your friend feeling better?" The recovering man stepped forward with a grateful smile. "Much better," he said warmly. "Your herbs help me more than I can say." Elena smiled, relieved and happy to hear his voice strong again. But Jeb did not share the same ease. He watched Elena's every movement, looking for signs that matched his imagined fears. Elena sensed a shift in the air, a quiet tension she did not understand. She kept her voice gentle, hoping to ease whatever worry the group carried. "Please sit," she said. "Would you like water or tea? I have fresh herbs drying if you need more for the road." Her kindness only deepened Jeb's confusion. He could not understand how she could seem so calm when his thoughts felt tangled and unsettled. He believed she must know something he did not. He believed she was hiding secrets, though in truth, she was simply living her peaceful life. A few people from the trading post walked by and greeted Elena warmly.
"Your remedies helped my son sleep," one woman said. "Thank you again." "And the salve you gave my husband eased his sore knee," another person added.
Their words should have comforted Jeb. Instead, his misunderstanding grew. He did not see their gratitude as evidence of her goodness. His mind twisted it into something strange, something he could not name. He felt like he was walking into a story that everyone else understood except him. Elena noticed Jeb's troubled expression and approached him gently. "You seem worried," she said. "Is there something on your mind?" Her calm voice held no judgment. She simply wanted to help. But Jeb could not express his thoughts clearly, because even he did not fully understand them. His fears were made of shadows, not truth. I don't know what happened," he said in a strained voice. "I keep thinking about our time here. I feel like I missed something important." Elena's eyes softened with understanding. She knew some travelers carried heavy emotions from the road, worries, memories, fears that followed them no matter where they went. "You did not miss anything," she assured him. "Your friend was unwell. We helped him together." Everything was simple and honest. But Jeb's heart could not settle. His thoughts had grown roots. He had convinced himself that something more complicated was happening, even though nothing unusual had occurred. Feeling restless, he walked away from the group for a moment and stood beneath the large cottonwood tree near the trading post. He looked at its strong branches and listened to the gentle sound of leaves fluttering in the wind. It was a peaceful tree that provided shade for travelers and children, a place people often rested under on hot afternoons. Elena watched him quietly, wondering how to ease his troubled heart. Meanwhile, far away on the open plains, Tahan was riding back toward the trading post after several days of travel with his people. He had been gathering supplies and visiting relatives. The long ride had given him time to think, and many of his thoughts drifted toward Elena. He hoped she was well. He had woven a small braid of colored thread during his journey, planning to give it to her as a token of friendship. Though he hid his feelings behind calm silence, he felt a gentle warmth in his chest whenever he thought of her. As he approached the trading post, he saw an unfamiliar group of men standing near Elena's cabin. Instinctively, he slowed his horse. He recognized Elena's calm figure near the river and felt relieved to see her safe. But he also sensed something different about the atmosphere, something faint and uneasy. When Tahan rode closer, Elena turned and smiled, her face brightening with quiet joy. "Tahan," she greeted warmly, "you've returned." Her voice carried comfort that reached him even from a distance. But when he noticed Jeb standing beneath the cottonwood tree with a tense expression, Tahan felt a small weight settle in his chest. He approached carefully, trying to understand the situation before stepping in. Elena introduced the travelers to Tahan, speaking kindly about how she had helped them. The men offered polite nods, though their eyes shifted nervously toward Tahan. His calm presence seemed to unsettle them further, even though he carried no sign of threat. His posture was steady, his hands relaxed, and his expression gentle. Travelers unfamiliar with him misunderstood his quiet nature. Jeb in particular felt even more confused when he saw Tahan. His imagination quickly filled the gaps with worry. He wondered whether Tahan had some connection to Elena's kindness that he could not understand. He wondered whether the calmness around them hid deeper meanings. None of his thoughts were based in reality, but they still shaped his reactions. Tahan sensed Jeb's unease but did not judge him. Instead, he approached Elena and asked softly, "Is everything all right?" Elena nodded gently.
"Yes," she said. "These men visited earlier."
"One of them was unwell, but he is better now. They returned because they felt unsure about some things." Tahan looked at the group with quiet understanding. He could see they were tired, emotionally stretched from long travel. Sometimes travel did that, clouded the mind, made shadows seem larger than they were. "I see," he said with a respectful nod. For a moment, the group stood in silence. The air was calm, but the tension in Jeb's heart remained. He felt unsure, out of place, and embarrassed for not understanding the situation clearly. Elena, noticing the quiet strain, suggested gently that they all sit near the cottonwood tree. She believed a calm conversation could help clear misunderstandings. The travelers hesitated but eventually agreed, hoping they might find clarity. Tahan sat beside Elena, offering quiet support. The others joined them and finally began to talk about their worries. They explained how long travels had clouded their thoughts, and how their uneasy experiences on the road had made them mistrust even peaceful moments. Elena listened patiently. She offered gentle explanations for everything they misunderstood. Her warm words slowly softened their fear. Her sincerity became clear, even to Jeb, who had been the most confused. Little by little, his tension eased, his shoulders relaxed, and he finally met Elena's eyes without fear. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I let my mind turn simple things into something else. I didn't mean any harm." Elena smiled softly. "Your heart has traveled too many miles," she said. "Sometimes fear stays with us even when the danger is gone. Rest your mind, you are safe here." Her words eased the last knots in Jeb's heart. For the first time since leaving Elena's cabin days earlier, he felt a sense of peace. Tahan watched Elena speak with gentle admiration. Her calmness, her patience, her ability to bring light where confusion lingered, it only deepened his quiet affection for her. The travelers stayed a little longer, enjoying the quiet shade of the cottonwood tree. As they prepared to leave again, they thanked Elena and Tahan sincerely. This time they departed with clear minds and grateful hearts. But as they rode away, Tahan remained thoughtful. He sensed that misunderstandings could easily grow in a world where people came from different paths and carried heavy memories. He silently wished that peace would continue to surround Elena, because she deserved nothing less. Little did he know that the simple moment beneath the cottonwood tree would soon shape both of their lives in unexpected ways. In the days that followed the travelers' visit, life around the trading post returned to its usual calm. The sun rose slowly over the plains each morning, lighting the golden grasses with soft warmth. Birds glided over the sky, and the river continued its steady flow past Elena's cabin. Everything seemed peaceful on the outside, yet inside Elena and Tahan, quiet changes were taking place. Changes neither of them spoke about aloud. Tahan thought often about the misunderstanding that had brought the travelers back. He knew the world was full of people who carried heavy thoughts, and he had seen how easily confusion could grow when minds were tired. But seeing someone misunderstand Elena weighed on him more than he expected. He cared about her deeply, and the idea that someone could misread her gentle nature made him feel a quiet ache he tried not to show. He visited the trading post more often now, though he always told himself he was just checking on supplies or catching news from travelers. In truth, his heart carried him toward Elena's presence. When he saw her, the world felt steady again. Her calm voice softened the harshness of long days, and her warm smile lifted the weight he carried. Elena sensed his visits were becoming more frequent, but she did not question him. She enjoyed his presence more than she let herself admit. When he approached, a soft warmth always rose inside her, and she found herself standing a little taller, speaking a little softer. She felt safe when he was near, as if his quiet strength added something gentle to the air around her. But Elena also carried a new feeling in her heart, a quiet worry she did not speak about. She had seen how easily misunderstandings could begin with strangers who knew nothing about her background, her work, or her people. She wondered if more travelers passing through might someday misread her actions or judge her unfairly. It wasn't fear. It was simply a thought that stayed with her, especially after seeing Jeb's troubled mind. One evening, while the sun painted the sky in long streaks of soft pink and orange, Elena sat outside her cabin sorting herbs. The breeze was gentle, lifting tiny strands of her hair. Tahan approached silently, carrying a small bundle wrapped in cloth. When she looked up and saw him, her smile appeared naturally, like it had been waiting just for him. "You walk as quietly as always," she said with a light tone. "And you always notice," Tahan replied. He sat beside her on the ground, placing the cloth bundle between them. She looked at it curiously. "Ah, I brought something for you," he said. Elena opened the cloth carefully. Inside lay a delicate braid made of colored thread, woven with patience and skill. The soft red, blue, and gold strands formed patterns that reflected the sky, earth, and sun. It looked like something made with meaning. "It is beautiful," she said softly, her voice warm. "Did you make it?" "Yes," Tahan replied, his tone calm but gentle. "It is a small gift."
I made it during our last journey. I thought you might like it.
Elena touched the braid with her fingertips. It felt smooth and light, yet something about it filled her heart with warmth. She held it as though holding a precious memory. "I will treasure it," she said. Their eyes met for a moment, just a moment, but it held a quiet understanding neither of them needed to put into words. Something soft grew between them, like a bird settling into a safe nest. After a while, Tahan asked, "How have things been since the travelers left? Do you feel at ease again?" Elena nodded slowly. "Yes, mostly. But their confusion reminded me how easily fear can change someone's thoughts. They came back thinking something was wrong when everything was fine." Tahan listened closely, his eyes filled with gentle concern. Elena continued, "I try to live simply, to help where I can. But sometimes I wonder if people who don't know me will always understand my intentions." "It is not your fault when others misunderstand," Tahan said. "Your heart is clear. Anyone who truly sees you will know that." His words brought comfort. Elena looked away for a moment, trying to steady the warmth rising inside her chest. As evening deepened, soft shadows stretched across the land. Tahan stayed with Elena until the first stars appeared, and when he finally left, she watched him disappear into the distance with a heart that felt both full and quietly uncertain. Days turned into weeks. Tan's visits continued, each one softening the distance between them. They shared stories about their childhoods, their families, and the things they each hoped to build in the future. Elena found herself laughing more, trusting more, and dreaming more. Tahan found himself speaking more than usual, opening parts of his heart he rarely shared with anyone. But as their bond grew, whispers began to spread quietly around the trading post. Not harmful ones, but curious ones. People noticed how Tahan looked at Elena with warmth, and how Elena's smile brightened when he was near. Some found it sweet. Others, not understanding their connection, wondered whether someone like Elena, belonging to two worlds, might face challenges because of such affection. Elena heard a few of the whispers. She tried not to let them trouble her, but late at night when she was alone, they sometimes echoed in her thoughts. She wondered whether a life with someone like Tahan would bring her joy or complications. She wondered how others would see her, and whether her unique place between cultures would ever cause confusion or discomfort. Tahan, too, sensed how people's eyes sometimes followed them. He did not mind the attention, but he worried that Elena might feel pressured or misjudged. He knew how deeply she cared about harmony and understanding. He wanted to protect her peace, not from danger, but from unnecessary worry. One afternoon, Tan rode to the cabin after spending several days away with his tribe. As he approached, he saw Elena sitting by the river, her braid shining in the sunlight. She looked thoughtful, almost distant. He dismounted quietly and walked toward her. "You seem deep in thought," he said softly. Elena lifted her eyes and smiled, though a hint of uncertainty lingered behind it. "I was thinking about the way people talk," she admitted gently. "Sometimes I hear whispers about us."
People are curious. Tahan nodded with understanding.
"Curiosity is natural," he said. People speak when they do not know something fully. But does it trouble you? Elena asked. No, Tahan answered simply. What matters to me is what is true, not what people think. Elena looked down at her hands, folding them in her lap. Sometimes I worry that my life, my background, all the things that make me who I am, might cause confusion for others. And I don't want that to trouble you. Tahan sat beside her, close enough for her to feel his calm presence. Elena, he said gently, nothing about you troubles me. You bring peace, not confusion. You bring light, not burden. If people misunderstand, that is their journey, not yours. Her eyes softened as she listened. She felt the truth in his voice, warm and steady like a slow-burning flame. I just want the path ahead to be clear, she whispered. It will be, Tahan replied, because clarity does not come from others. It comes from the heart. Elena breathed in the words slowly. They settled inside her like soft rain nourishing dry soil. In that moment, she realized that Tahan's presence had become a place of comfort, a steady place where she felt understood without explanation. The days that followed grew brighter. Elena began feeling more confident, more anchored in her connection with Tahan. She laughed more openly when he visited, and he smiled more often in her presence. They walked together along the riverbanks, gathered herbs side by side, and shared quiet moments beneath the cottonwood tree that had once held so much tension but now held only peace. Yet something else was happening as well, something silent and unforeseen. A few travelers arriving at the post spoke of small changes happening across the plains. Nothing troubling, just changes in routes, gathering areas, and distant settlements. The stories drifted through the air like gentle winds, carrying hints of new seasons. Tahan listened closely to these stories. He sensed that new paths were forming, paths that might guide him and Elena toward decisions they had not yet made. One evening, as the sky shimmered with early starlight, Tahan returned to Elena's cabin after speaking with elders from his tribe. His mind was filled with quiet thoughts. Elena noticed the thoughtful look in his eyes and sensed something important was on his mind. Is everything all right? She asked softly. Tahan nodded. Yes, he said, but there are changes coming. My people may need to travel to a new area soon. The land is shifting, and we must follow the seasons. Elena felt a gentle ache move through her chest. She knew this was the way of his people, following nature, respecting the land's rhythm. But she also knew that changes came with choices. What does that mean for you? She asked quietly. It means I may be away for a while, Tahan said, but before I make any decisions, I needed to speak with you. Elena's heartbeat softened, then steadied, waiting for words she did not yet know. Tahan looked at her gently, his eyes filled with warmth. Wherever the path leads, he said slowly, I want to walk part of it with you. But I would never ask you to leave the life you have here unless it is your choice. Elena felt her breath catch softly. His words were not a question, not a request, but a doorway. One that opened into a future she had not yet allowed herself to imagine fully. You have become important to me, Tahan continued quietly. More than I expected. And I would like to know if your heart feels the same. Elena looked down, her eyes warming with emotion. She touched the braid he had given her weeks earlier, feeling the threads between her fingers. When she looked up, her voice was soft but clear. My heart has been walking toward yours for a long time, she admitted. I just didn't know how to say it. A gentle peace settled between them. The world around them seemed to soften. The wind, the river, even the stars above. Everything felt like it was holding its breath for the moment. Tahan reached out slowly, offering his hand. Elena placed her hand in his, trusting the warmth she found there. Their journey was still unfolding, but now they were no longer walking in separate directions. Their hearts had found a shared path, yet neither of them knew that the next days would bring unexpected challenges. Challenges not of danger, but of choices, distance, and the quiet strength needed to hold on to something precious. Their hearts were steady, but the world around them was beginning to shift. The days after Tahan shared his feelings with Elena felt different, as if the air itself carried a quiet glow. Elena woke each morning with a soft warmth in her heart, and Tahan carried a new lightness in his steps, even though he knew change was approaching. Their shared truth had opened a path neither of them had walked before, and each moment now felt meaningful. But life continued around them. The trading post remained busy with visitors passing through, families tending their daily tasks, and nature carrying out its gentle rhythms. Elena continued helping people with her herbs, her hands moving with calm skill. Tahan spent time with his people, preparing for the possibility of travel and discussing the future with elders. Even so, they found moments to meet, talking quietly beneath the cottonwood tree or walking by the river as evening light touched the land with gold. Still, beneath the calm surface, both carried unspoken questions. Tan wondered whether Elena would ever want to join his people when the time came. Elena wondered whether her life near the trading post could blend with the life Tahan carried in his heart. They did not rush each other. Instead, they allowed time to shape their thoughts. One afternoon, when the sun was warm and the river sparkled like tiny diamonds, Tahan came to Elena's cabin with a thoughtful expression. She knew instantly that he had news. She set down the herbs she was sorting and smiled gently. "You look like you have something on your mind," she said softly. Tahan nodded. "The elders have spoken more about our travels," he said. "They believe it is time to move toward new land where water is more plentiful and the soil is good for the seasons ahead." Elena listened closely, her heart tightening a little. She knew this day would come, but hearing it aloud made the reality feel more real. "When will you leave?" she asked quietly. "In a few weeks," he said. "We are preparing now." He hesitated before continuing. "But before anything is decided, I wanted you to know something." She looked into his eyes, waiting. "My feelings for you remain the same," he said gently. "Wherever I go, they will travel with me. But I will never ask you to leave your home, unless your heart wishes to. Your place, your work, your people here, they are important, and I respect that fully." Elena felt a soft ache mixed with a warm sense of gratitude. His respect for her life made her heart feel safe, understood. "I don't want you to feel torn," Tahan continued. "Whatever path you choose, I will honor it." Elena took a deep breath. Elena... She looked at the garden her mother had once tended, the cabin built with her father's hands, the river where she learned to gather herbs. These places were pieces of her heart. But then she looked at Tahan, whose presence had become another piece of her heart. "I care for you deeply," she said softly. I want to understand what life would be like with you and your people. I don't want to make a choice based on fear or misunderstanding."
I want to choose with clarity. Tan felt relief spread through him.
"Then take the time you need," he said. "The heart moves best when it moves freely." As days passed, Elena paid attention to everything around her. Her patients, her neighbors, the land she called home. She also paid attention to how she felt when she thought of Tahan leaving. Each thought helped her see her path a little more clearly. One afternoon, she sat by the river, watching small ripples shimmer across the water's surface. She closed her eyes and listened to the gentle music of nature. The river flowing, birds calling, wind whispering through leaves, all reminded her that life was a series of movements. Nothing ever stayed still forever. When she opened her eyes, she saw Tahan approaching from across the field. He sat beside her without a word, sensing she was deep in thought. "I've been thinking," she said quietly. Tahan remained silent, giving her space to speak. "I know that helping people here is a part of who I am," she continued, "but I also know that helping people does not depend on only one place. I can carry my knowledge anywhere, and I know that I don't want fear of change to guide my choices." Tahan listened carefully, his expression gentle. Elena smiled slightly. "Your world and mine may be different, but both are part of who I am. And my heart," she touched the braid he had given her, "keeps telling me it wants to walk beside yours." A soft glow lit Tahan's eyes. It was not excitement, it was something deeper. Gratitude, hope, and gentle relief. "You are sure?" he asked. "Yes," she said with calm certainty. "I want to join you and your people. I want to build a future that honors both my heritage and my heart." Tahan nodded slowly, a peaceful warmth rising within him. "Then we will walk this new path together." The decision brought Elena a sense of clarity she had not felt before. But she also knew she needed to speak with the people at the trading post, those she had helped over the years, those who had become like distant family. She wanted them to hear her choice directly. In the days that followed, Elena visited each household that had been important to her life. She explained gently that she would be leaving soon to join Tahan and his people. Some felt surprised, some felt sad, but all understood her choice. They had seen the connection between her and Tahan grow like steady sunlight. "You have always brought goodness to this place," one woman told her. "Wherever you go, that goodness will follow." "You helped our children and our families," another person said. "You deserve a future filled with love and peace." Their kind words eased any lingering worries Elena had carried. She knew she would miss them, but she also felt ready for the path ahead. Meanwhile, Tahan shared the news with his people. They welcomed the decision with warmth, knowing Elena carried knowledge and kindness that would enrich their community. Elders spoke about how every new season brought new members, new stories, and new strengths. When the day to leave finally arrived, the sky was calm and blue, as though blessing their journey. Elena stood outside her cabin, the place she had known all her life. She touched the wooden door gently, thanking it silently for the years of shelter and memory. She gathered her herbs, her woven blankets, and a few belongings that held meaning. Everything else she left as a gift for neighbors who might need them. Tan arrived with his horse, offering Elena a gentle smile of reassurance. She tied her belongings carefully and mounted the horse behind him. As they began to ride, the trading post came into view. People stood outside to wave farewell. Elena lifted her hand, her heart full of gratitude. The river shimmered as they passed, the cottonwood trees swayed softly, and the land stretched wide before them. Elena felt a mix of nostalgia and hope. One chapter closing, another opening. During their journey, Tahan pointed out landmarks important to his people. Ancient trees, hidden streams, valleys that echoed with stories. Elena listened with interest, feeling her heart expand with each new understanding. She realized that the world she was joining held layers of beauty she had only glimpsed before. Days turned into weeks as they traveled with Tahan's tribe. Elena learned new customs, shared stories of her heritage, and continued helping people with her herbal knowledge. The people welcomed her warmly, appreciating her gentle spirit and the way she cared for others. Tan watched her adapt with admiration. She carried herself with grace, balancing curiosity with respect. The quiet bond between them grew deeper, steady, meaningful, and filled with shared dreams. One evening, under a sky filled with stars brighter than Elena had ever seen before, Tahan and Elena sat side by side near the fire. The warmth surrounded them, along with soft laughter from other members of the community. "You found your place quickly," Tahan said softly. Elena smiled. "It feels like a place my heart has known for a long time," she replied. Tahan reached for her hand, and she placed hers gently in his. Their fingers intertwined naturally, as though they had always belonged that way. "Thank you for choosing this path," he said. "It was not a hard choice," she answered. "My heart made it easy." As the fire crackled and the stars shimmered, Elena felt a sense of peace settle deep within her. But stars talk about it ever so bad? She knew she had not left her past behind. She had simply carried it forward into a future where she was understood, cherished, and welcomed. The misunderstanding that once returned the travelers to her cabin had opened a journey neither she nor Taeon expected. It had revealed fears, cleared confusion, strengthened trust, and finally brought them together onto a shared path. The cottonwood tree, the trading post, the river, all remained part of her memory, woven into the story she now carried within her heart. But ahead of her stretched new land, new community, and a life filled with purpose and companionship. And with Tahan beside her, Elena felt ready for every season to come, each one a chapter of a story built not from fear or confusion, but from understanding, connection, and gentle love.